Pirates didn't swing onto decks yelling catchy phrases while explosions went off behind them. Real attacks were quieter, sharper, and somehow way more disturbing. You won't find parrots or dramatic one-liners here, but you will find something real. The part no one ever shows. So what really happened when pirates showed up uninvited? And why did it work almost every time? It all started long before a single ship was spotted on the horizon. Pirates studied merchant ships like hawks watching mice. They had specific targets in mind: slow-moving vessels packed with valuable cargo and minimal defenses. This wasn't random violence. Professional thieves needed professional planning. These seafaring thieves went after merchant ships, never warships. Why fight a floating fortress when you can rob a floating treasure chest instead? Merchant vessels carried the good stuff without the heavy cannons and trained soldiers. Smart pirates knew the difference between a profitable raid and a suicide mission. Experience taught them wisdom about risk versus reward. Speed determined everything during the hunt. Pirates loved chasing down slow-moving ships because catching them required less effort and time. Chasing a slow merchant ship was like a wolf hunting a three-legged deer. The outcome was basically guaranteed if you picked the right target. But what treasures were they actually hunting? Sugar, tobacco, gold, textiles, and weapons topped every pirate's wish list. These items had real value, could be sold quickly, and didn't spoil during long ocean voyages. Practical pirates focused on practical plunder that would actually improve their lives. Then there's the planning aspect that movies never show. Pirates studied shipping routes with the dedication of students cramming for final exams. They knew exactly where high-traffic trade lanes ran and when merchant fleets would pass through specific areas. Knowledge was power, and power meant profit. Naval patrols represented the biggest threat to pirate operations. These sea robbers avoided regions where warships regularly patrolled like smart criminals avoid police stations. Staying alive meant staying smart about where you conducted business. The spyglass became a pirate's most valuable tool for target identification. Lookouts positioned high on the mast would scan horizons for hours, searching for the perfect victim. Having good lookouts was like having eagles that could smell treasure from 20 miles away. Early detection meant better preparation and higher success rates. Let's not forget the clever deception tactics. Some pirate crews sailed under false flags to trick potential victims into thinking they were friendly vessels. Trust was a luxury nobody could afford on the open ocean. Deception was just another tool in the pirate toolbox. Port informants provided golden intelligence about valuable shipments. Many pirate crews cultivated contacts in major trading ports who would tip them off about ships carrying especially precious cargo. These relationships required careful maintenance and generous compensation, but timing mattered just as much as target selection. Pirates preferred attacking during daylight hours because visibility made boarding operations safer and more efficient. Eagles that could smell treasure from 20 miles away weren't much use in complete darkness. The selection process was only the beginning of a carefully orchestrated operation. Warning shots and intimidation replaced the massive cannon battles you see in movies. Real pirate attacks started with psychology, not destruction. Violence was the last resort, not the first. Smart pirates understood that fear was cheaper than fighting. Pirates rarely opened fire immediately because they wanted captured ships intact and functional. Blasting holes in your target was like breaking the jar while trying to steal the cookies inside. A damaged vessel was harder to sail, impossible to sell, and definitely more difficult to loot efficiently. Smart business sense guided their actions toward preservation rather than destruction. When cannons were used, they fired warning shots designed to scare crews into immediate surrender. A cannonball splashing close to your bow delivered a clear message: stop now or face much worse consequences. Most sailors understood this universal language of maritime threats without further translation. Here's something Hollywood gets completely wrong. Gunpowder was expensive and often scarce. Pirates couldn't just reload whenever they felt like making noise. Wasting gunpowder was like throwing gold coins at seagulls just to watch them fly away. Every shot represented a significant financial investment that had better produced results. Most pirate ships carried far fewer cannons than movies suggest. While film pirates seemed to command floating death machines bristling with artillery, real pirate vessels often mounted only 4 to 10 cannons total. Resources were limited and space was precious on working ships. Speed was the real weapon in any pirate arsenal. These ships were built for chasing prey, not engaging in prolonged artillery duels. Building a pirate ship was like training a greyhound, not raising a bulldog. Agility and acceleration mattered more than raw power in most pirate encounters. Getting close enough for boarding represented the ultimate objective. Pirates wanted to jump directly onto enemy vessels and seize control through hand-to-hand combat. This required exceptional seamanship and nerves of steel from experienced crews. Then there's the patience factor that most people never consider. Pirates sometimes followed potential targets for hours or even entire days before making their move. Patient stalking was standard procedure, like sharks following wounded fish until the perfect moment to strike. Timing could make the difference between success and disaster. Many merchant crews surrendered without any resistance whatsoever. Word traveled fast about which pirate captain showed mercy and which ones preferred violence. Reputation management was an important part of pirate business strategy. But once surrender was achieved, the real action was about to unfold. Grappling hooks and boarding planks turned ship-to-ship combat into organized chaos designed for rapid takeovers. The whole process was surprisingly systematic despite appearances. Pirates had developed these techniques through years of trial and error. The invasion began with pirates throwing iron grappling hooks across the gap between vessels. These clawed devices hooked onto railings, rigging, or any solid surface capable of supporting weight. Then crews hauled the ships together like connecting floating train cars. Strength and timing were everything here. Coordination separated successful crews from drowning ones. Once vessels were close enough, pirates used wooden planks as makeshift bridges or simply leaped across the water gap. Making that jump was like playing hopscotch over shark-infested waters while carrying a sword between your teeth. One missed step meant becoming fish food in the most literal sense possible. Armed pirates swarmed onto enemy decks, carrying cutlasses, pistols, boarding axes, and knives. Each weapon served specific purposes: cutlasses for close-quarters fighting, pistols for intimidation, boarding axes for chopping through barriers. Smart pirates knew which tool worked best for each situation. Most defending crews panicked immediately, especially those without combat training. The average merchant sailor had about as much fighting experience as a librarian has experienced wrestling bears. Faced with screaming, weapon-wielding pirates, many defenders simply froze in terror. Fear was often the pirates' greatest ally. The actual fighting was usually brief and utterly chaotic. No elegant sword duels or fancy footwork occurred, just desperate people swinging weapons in cramped spaces. Real ship combat was like a tavern brawl, except the tavern was floating and everyone had knives. Survival depended more on luck than skill in these frantic encounters. Pirates targeted specific areas once they gained deck access. The helm came first because controlling steering meant controlling the entire vessel. Storage compartments ranked second because that's where valuable cargo was stored. Strategic thinking guided even the most chaotic moments. Yet gunfire remained surprisingly limited during boarding actions. Pistols in that era were single-shot weapons requiring lengthy reloading procedures. Once you fired your shot, you possessed an expensive club until reloading was possible. Smart pirates saved their shots for crucial moments. The entire boarding process could conclude in under 10 minutes if defending crews surrendered quickly. Pirates wanted fast victories, not extended battles that might attract naval attention. Every minute counted when escape was the ultimate goal. However, winning control was just the beginning. Now came the real purpose behind all this dangerous effort. Food and drink topped every pirate shopping list because survival at sea required constant resupply of basic necessities. Staying alive was surprisingly expensive business. Pirates prioritized food supplies like salted meat, flour, beans, and dried fruit above almost everything else. These preserved foods could last for months without spoiling. Living on a pirate ship was like being trapped in a floating grocery store that occasionally caught fire and leaked. Fresh supplies made the difference between survival and starvation. Rum and fresh water were worth more than gold to sea-weary pirates. Rum served multiple purposes: medicine, currency, and morale, booster all in one convenient liquid form. Fresh water was even more precious because drinking seawater leads to some very unpleasant consequences. Weapons and ammunition represented incredibly valuable discoveries during raids. Musket balls, gunpowder, pistols, and blades were always in short supply aboard pirate vessels. Finding a weapons cache was like discovering a treasure chest full of sharp, exploding solutions to all your problems. Navigation tools were treasures in their own right. Compasses, maps, and telescopes cost enormous amounts of money and were absolutely essential for not getting hopelessly lost in the middle of the ocean. Then there's the clothing and fabric situation that most people never consider. Life at sea was incredibly hard on clothing, and pirates constantly needed boots, coats, shirts, and cloth for repairs. Pirates needed to look intimidating, and nothing ruins your fearsome reputation quite like having your pants fall down during a sword fight. Ship repair supplies were essential plunder that kept pirate vessels operational. Spare sails, ropes, tar, nails, and tools were expensive and absolutely necessary for maintaining floating wooden buildings that people regularly shot at. The legendary valuable cargo, gold, silver, spices, and silk, was rare but worth incredible fortunes when discovered. A single chest of silver could fund an entire pirate crew for months. Personal belongings from passengers also got systematically looted. Jewelry, money pouches, letters, and personal items all held value. Pirates were professional treasure hunters who happened to specialize in things that belonged to other people. But once the looting finished, pirates faced important decisions about the people they'd just robbed. Skilled prisoners sometimes received invitations to join pirate crews, but this wasn't charity. It was pure business necessity. Talent mattered more than loyalty initially. Pirates understood that expertise was harder to find than willing hands. Pirates actively recruited talented captives like navigators, carpenters, surgeons, and other specialists because these professionals were worth more than treasure chests. A competent navigator was more valuable than gold because treasure can't tell you which way leads home and which way leads to becoming fish food. Skills saved lives and made raids profitable. Finding good help was difficult even for pirates. Captured crew members who resisted or caused problems faced much harsher consequences. Pirates couldn't afford keeping hostile prisoners who might attempt ship retaking. Marooning on deserted islands was one solution, basically abandonment with minimal supplies. Execution provided the other, more permanent option. Troublemakers disrupted crew harmony and endangered everyone aboard. Wealthy passengers or high-ranking officers were occasionally held for ransom payments. Pirates understood that rich families would pay substantial amounts to recover their loved ones safely. Kidnapping for ransom was like fishing, except instead of using worms as bait, you used wealthy people to catch bags of gold. However, this strategy required careful timing and secure hiding places. Some sailors actually volunteered to join pirate crews and eventually earned trust and promotions over time. Life aboard merchant vessels was often harsh, poorly paid, and dangerous anyway. For many sailors, joining pirates wasn't a step down in life. It was like quitting a terrible job to start your own business, except your business involved stealing ships. Pirate crews offered better food, fairer treatment, and profit sharing. Others were forced into piracy under direct death threats. These reluctant recruits required careful watching because they might escape or turn against their captors at the first available opportunity. Building loyalty took time and consistent fair treatment from the crew. Female passengers created complicated situations that varied dramatically depending on individual pirate crew codes of conduct. Pirate codes functioned like employee handbooks, except instead of dress codes and vacation policies, they covered sword etiquette and treasure distribution. Different captains had vastly different rules about prisoner treatment. Different pirate captains operated under vastly different prisoner treatment philosophies. Some were surprisingly fair and reasonable, while others were brutal and completely unpredictable. Crew reputation affected how future victims responded to capture situations. Navy deserters often joined pirate crews willingly and were usually welcomed enthusiastically. These men already possessed military training and understood ship operations thoroughly. They brought valuable skills and experience to pirate operations. The prisoner situation was just another challenge pirates had to resolve quickly because lingering in one location invited serious trouble. Pirates departed immediately after raids to avoid naval reinforcements that might already be heading toward their location. Time was always working against them. Every minute spent celebrating or organizing increased the chances of capture exponentially. Speed was absolutely crucial during escape operations because every minute spent in the area increased chances of capture exponentially. Staying around after robbing a ship was like a thief stopping to count stolen money in front of the victim's house. Quick getaways meant the difference between freedom and prison cells. Successful pirates understood that escape was just as important as the attack itself. Knowledge of local ocean currents, tides, and hidden anchorages was essential for successful getaways. Pirates studied water patterns with the intensity of professional meteorologists. Secret coves and concealed harbors provided safe locations to wait until immediate danger passed. Local knowledge often determined who lived and who got caught. The Caribbean, West Africa, and Indian Ocean regions contained countless pirate hideouts for excellent reasons. Pirates needed maritime hideouts like wolves need forest dens, secret places where they could rest, repair, and plan their next hunt. These areas offered complex coastlines, numerous islands, and limited naval presence. Geography was destiny for pirate operations. Changing ship appearance was standard operating procedure for avoiding recognition. Pirates would switch sails, repaint hulls, or change flags to create completely different visual identities. Disguising ships was like changing costumes for a theater performance, except the audience was the Navy, and getting caught meant hanging instead of bad reviews. Successful disguises required attention to detail and creative thinking. Some crews completely renamed their vessels after major attacks to confuse witness reports and official documentation. Pirates became masters of reinvention through pure necessity. New names meant fresh starts and confused authorities who couldn't track movements. Captured ships that couldn't be used effectively often got burned or sunk without hesitation. Pirates couldn't afford maintaining multiple vessels, and leaving evidence floating around was unnecessarily dangerous. Resource management was crucial for long-term survival. Loot division occurred shortly after successful escapes, usually according to predetermined crew agreements. Pirates maintained surprisingly detailed contracts specifying how treasure would be distributed. Fair distribution prevented mutinies and maintained crew loyalty during difficult times. Injured pirates received whatever medical treatment was available using captured supplies and basic knowledge. Pirate medicine was basically pouring rum on wounds and hoping the alcohol killed whatever might kill you first. Medical care was primitive, but better than nothing at all. The cycle was now complete. Pirates had successfully attacked, looted, and escaped to plan their next adventure on the endless ocean highways where fortune and danger sailed hand in hand.